What's up, folks? Max here, and yep, it's confirmed. We saw the trailer the other day. POKKEN Tournament, aka a Pokemon and Tekken merged fighting game from the creators of the Tekken series, will be coming out in Japanese arcades. That's going to be pretty important talking about Japanese arcades because there is no official release date for the game yet, except the fact that it's coming out in 2015, and there's no confirmation of it existing anywhere outside of Japan. But just to touch on this subject before we move forward, the interesting thing to note is that this video was officially released also on the American Pokemon YouTube channel, and it was translated. There was a Japanese version saying it was coming out in Japanese arcades in 2015, and they released an English version explaining that it's coming out in Japanese arcades. Now, why would they do that? Why would they translate something in English to explain to English fans, yo, it's not coming out where you live? Mostly because they want you to be excited for the game. They know you're going to find out about it because it will exist in some form sometime in the future. But like most Japanese fighting games, they come out in arcades first and then come out on the consoles a little bit later, in regards to most of the titles. This happens with almost everything, and what they're going to do is they're going to location test this Pokemon fighting game in Japanese arcades, get a lot of feedback there, take it back, and then go and craft a console game around it. This is pretty much par the course for the majority of fighting games, and when you actually only have to build an arcade game, which is just the roster of characters, the stages they're in, the versus mechanics, and just stuff like that, it's a very easy package to just pick up, deliver, and send out and make money that way, and then craft an entire console experience for the Wii U or whatever it might be coming out on later down the line. I am fully convinced that this game will see an American release at some point, so I wouldn't be too worried, guys. It might not be until later 2015, but POKKEN Tournament Fighters, or whatever it ends up being called in the US, is most likely going to be coming out on consoles here at a later date, which will most likely be the Wii U. So I'd be shocked if there was a 3DS version, that'd be fantastic, but there's also potential rumors of new Nintendo hardware. There's been this for quite a long time. So it could be a game that features on a later system with better graphics and stuff like that, because holy hell, the early trailer is a good proof of concept, but it doesn't look particularly fantastic. It doesn't look bad by any means, but it's just to show you that POKKEN Tournament is indeed a very early gameplay alpha. They don't even probably have an alpha yet, it's just like a proof of concept right now. But the creators of Tekken did get to talk a bit more about POKKEN Fighters and what's going to be exactly happening with the game. And Harada, the developer, the guy that's been behind Tekken for so long, was explaining that the system is going to be naturally different. The game is not going to be like the high, the mid, the low guard mechanics, where in Tekken you have to condition somebody to stop guarding low, to stop guarding high, so you can get a launcher and stuff like that. Tekken's kind of always been that way for a very long time, but they're saying that they're planning to include new types of mechanics that are going to be completely different than the Tekken series. The thing is, I don't think this is going to be an arena-style fighter. We have seen arena-style fighters from Namco in the past with Rise of Incarnates, which isn't even out yet, as well as the Gundam Full Boost Versus series. I don't believe this is going to be that. The reason being is that if you look at the trailer, the characters are fighting what seems to be on the same plane most of the time. The Tekken series does have 3D movement to an extent, not as crazy exaggerated as something like Soul Calibur, but they can move left, they can sidestep and stuff like that. I doubt we're going to see similar stiff style movements in a game like Pokemon Tournament. I'm pretty sure that this is going to get something more along the treatment of very fluid controls, faster moving characters, and easily accessible type of gameplay. Tekken over the years became less and less accessible, and the characters have always had this element of stiffness about them, and it's about where you place your attacks, not how you kind of move around it. The movement stuff comes at a very high level, and you can very much tell that amazing Tekken players are all about that extremely high caliber movement, dashing, getting in, backdashing, all that stuff. I'm pretty sure that's going to go away in POKKEN. I think they're going to abolish that completely because what we see in the gameplay is the characters fighting on this plane. There's like a little trail in the middle of whatever stage they might be on. And in this stage, on this trail, they don't really leave the trail too often. Since the trail is just going from left to right, you can kind of see where the characters are on their plane and where they're battling, and they might move a little bit left, a little bit right of the trail, but they kind of stay on it, which means that I think it's mostly going to be taking place on kind of a 2D plane. Tekken kind of takes place on a 2D plane as well, but you get to roll, like when you get off the ground, you roll left and you roll right and things like that. But most of the time in Tekken games, your characters are facing each other like face to face. You're not going to dash up on a guy from full screen and stab him in the back with some crazy Pokemon sword. You know, it's not gonna happen that way. I think POKKEN Tournament's gonna be a more focused one-on-one fighting game. It's still gonna be 3D. It's still gonna have 3D hitboxes. I'm pretty sure it's still gonna be a fully 3D fighting game, but it's not gonna be something like an arena fighter. The other concern I was having immediately is this only going to feature, like, bipedal fighting-style Pokemon? Like, are they just going to be on 2 legs and stuff like that? But Harada did mention that, technically speaking, they should not have any problems implementing whatever type of Pokemon they want. We can get Psyduck, for God's sake. That'd be freaking awesome. My favorite Pokemon of absolutely all of them. And he's saying they're looking into fan feedback regarding system mechanics and what fans might like. So rest assured, it's not going to be just specifically like bipedal Pokemon, which is good. They're going to have to be pretty creative with how these characters are going to battle each other on this kind of Tekken-esque battlefield and mechanics. And people are also worried that, are the Pokemon trainers not going to be there? Is it just going to be like Pokemon fighting each other? Harada said, worry not, there might be something like that in the future. So it's very early. It seems like they're still taking recommendations for mechanics, just like the Tekken 7 announcement from Namco that happened not too long ago. They were even asking fans like us at Comic-Con who were there for the live announcement of the mechanics, what they wanted and what we wanted to see in terms of like tag and single-player matches. It's still very early. But from this information, we can possibly take that this game is going to be a more focused fighting-style game. It's probably going to be very accessible. It is on a Nintendo platform. They probably don't want you having to buy arcade sticks and stuff like that in order to play it. But it is going to be an arcade game. It's going to be a focused tournament-like style arcade game, and people are going to play it. It's going to be big regardless. It's interesting that this game exists and something like Smash Brothers can exist as well, where you do have a lot of Pokemon characters fighting each other, so it could mean that in the future, if something like this is successful, holy crap, we might actually get something like a Zelda-based fighting game, which would be amazing, because you have all these characters with weapons and swords and abilities that would fit so well in the Soul Calibur engine. Who knows, man? There's a lot that could happen as a result of this. I'm just glad to see that Namco and Nintendo are getting along pretty damn well, since Namco is the ones, of course, making the new Smash Brothers game and coding the hell out of it. So it's really good news. I'm not personally a huge Pokemon fan, but this game and what it could represent is really good because it could bring in a lot of people that aren't accustomed to fighting games into fighting games, and that has me excited. Mostly because I feel fighting games are one of the greatest genres on the planet, and you can get the most excited about a fighting game match. And if we can get people to understand that through the result of a new Pokemon game, let's go for it, dudes. What do you guys think about POKKEN Tournament Fighters? Leave me your comments below. And if you want to check out the full gameplay trailer without all my ranting and talking, you can look on the annotation on screen right now. As soon as you get more information, I'll be back, guys, analyzing what's going on. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you next time.